Hey, I want to set this right about, I know a lot of people are being fooled about Putin. First off, plain and obvious, this expression of tears of him being reelected is a total act. And there's many people that just think it's genuine. I mean, they all play this game, they all know how to act. A politician primarily is an actor. Ronald Reagan was our best, right? Great actor. Bill Clinton even did this type of stuff. This guy is a hardcore stoic. He was, running the KGB, the FSB, and all this type of stuff. You think he's crying over this election? He can't control himself? Oh my God. And that just shows you how naive. I know a lot of people don't buy it, but there are a lot that do buy it. And I'm saying, you're so far off base with this stuff if you think this is not an act. That is an act. This guy is like a stoic. He's cold as all hell. I'm just going to go over this story real quick. LA Times, right? So we hear that those tears of joy from Vladimir Putin as he claimed victory of Russia's presidential election. They couldn't have been tears of surprise. The results had supposedly been in a bag for weeks. And the third term on top of his years as prime minister means Putin could wind up being Russia's top good dog for more than 15 years, more reign than any administration. So, I'm going to tell you right now, tears from Pooty Poot, which is the nickname President George Bush gave to the usually stony-faced KGB. I'm going to tell you right now, this guy is hardcore stony-faced and emotional. There's no possible way that those emotions were real. None. Zero. This was on Russia Today. Hopefully I'm not violating something by showing this for a couple seconds, but, Putin's ruthless days are numbered. UK's Miliband talks about Putin is far worse than anybody that is in the Western elite. And, I observe some of these things, and let me tell you this, I will criticize Jews. I will. I'll get in trouble. But, a lot of people seem to think, Miliband is a Jew, they're homosexuals, Britain is homosexual. These kind of things, I'm thinking to myself, you guys have no clue what's going on. You're jumping from the frying pan into the fire and going in. And, even Russia Today, I don't even know what they're saying here, but they're just bringing out a news story. But Putin is bad news. I'm going to tell you something else about this thing. This is about the Federal Security Service. The ones that really run Russia is this. Putin is not actually, I could just say common sense. The guy you see visibly in public is never the head guy. Never. And people complain about the CIA and all this type of stuff and the Mossad. This stuff is worst. And actually it's a competing force. I'm just going to go over it real fast over Wikipedia, but I'm going to point out some things, and maybe some things I know a little bit about that I probably shouldn't say on here, but the hell with it. Because truth is mighty and it shall prevail. And let's get it straight. Our Western leaders are screwed up, but they're not as screwed up as the garbage that's going on behind Russia. Not the Russian people, but this type of stuff. This federal agency runs Russia, and Putin is the front guy. Medvedev was basically, I'm saying his name wrong, Dmitry Medvedev. He was basically like the good guy that appealed to the West. That was his whole deal. So, now things are coming to a head, I guess. The Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation is the main domestic security agency of the Russian Federation and the main successor agency of the Soviet Committee of State Security, KGB. Its main responsibilities are counterintelligence, internal and border security, counterterrorism, and surveillance. Now, there's more to it, though. The FSB is responsible for internal security in the Russian state, counterespionage, and a fight against organized crime. Organized crime is anything that's against Putin, terrorism, and drug smuggling. Since 2003, when Federal Border Guards Service was incorporated into the FSB. It has also been responsible for overseeing border security. Now, I'm going to show you, after becoming president, Vladimir Putin launched a major reorganization of the agency. First, the FSB was placed under direct control of the president by decree, May 17, 2000. So, he was using this like, I am going after these Jewish crooks. And you know, there's anti-Semitism in Russia. It's real. I mean, yeah, I know, maybe there are crooks too, but Putin's a bigger crook. He's a bigger crook. He's not giving anything to the Russian people. This guy's like, I mean, Gaddafi was no saint either, you know. I mean, I don't think he was like as screwed up as some of the other stuff going on over there, but they're all a bunch of crooks. Internal structure of the agency was reformed by a decree signed on June 17, 2000. Basically, what they're talking about is that I think what's going on, and this is obvious, the FSB controls Russia. They put a big show on that they're going after this crook, who's probably like a crook, but the bigger crook is these guys running the show, and actually Putin is not actually the top dog in Russia. He's the top dog that's visible to the public. On June 28th, 2004, in a speech to high-ranking FSB officers, Putin examined three major tasks of the agency: neutralizing foreign espionage, safeguarding economic and financial security of the country, and combating organized crime. When he's talking about safeguarding economic and financial security of the country and combating organized crime, they will change the rules midstream because it's got to go in Putin's pocket. Period. He's the biggest crook in the world. And you know, so if the West is against him, I really don't care. I think this guy is bad news. And it's amazing the amount of people that in the West that think this guy is a good guy because he puts out these little things about, Israel shouldn't do this or Israel shouldn't do that, or just leave Israel out of it. But he criticizes some of the things that are going on with the Western elite. But this guy is worst. He's 100 times worst, and that's where people aren't getting it. The FSB has been criticized for corruption and human rights violations. That's no brainer. Some Kremlin critics and conspiracy theorists like Yulia Latnia and Alexander Litvenko have claimed that the FSB is engaged in suppression of internal dissent. And Litvinenko died in 2006 as a result of polonium poisoning. It sounds like something that, pretty wild stuff. The FSB has been further criticized for the failure to bring Islamic terrorism in Russia under control. And basically what's going on is kind of like there's always been some type of anti-Semitism in Russia, but it's like there's a lot of things going on. I mean, there are powerful Jewish businessmen in Russia that are, they're not in the same camp as Putin, but Putin's actually a lot worse. Peter Finn of the Washington Post has claimed the FSB exercises huge political influence in the country. They do. That is actually what runs Russia, the FSB. And I want to go through something else here real quick. This is another guy, Ilya Katznelson, another one, former Volko tanker executive Ilya Katznelson testified in front of the U.S. Helsinki Commission in 2009 to describe how the company was illegally taken over by corrupt Russian law enforcement from its managers and shareholders in the shadow of Kremlin's orchestrated attack on Yukos Volko tanker like Yukos before it. Volko tanker like Yukos before it was crushed by a bankruptcy process based on invented tax claims. I'm going to tell you right now, these guys that Putin crushed, these Jewish businessmen, that they have them up there like they're the bad guys, that is not correct. I mean, these guys ain't perfect either, but you know what? It's like you're dealing with a whole pile of different ones versus one centralized guy. And, this guy was attacked too, big time. This guy, Ilya, he's a good guy from what I heard. And, A lot of these things, and I wish I got money out of all this crap. I never got damn nickel out of it, but nice. But I never saw any U.S. Treasury fiat notes. That'd have been nice. But you know, the real guys that are running the show are these guys, and it's somebody behind Putin. So when you people in the West, when you're thinking, Putin's against our rotten Western elite. Well, our rotten Western elite are nowhere near as bad as this guy. I can tell you right now. The guy they're really running the show. I don't even know who the hell they are, but it's something to do with this. There's no doubt about it. And they're slamming. They can call them organized crime. They can call them what the hell they want. They are, they're a hell of a lot better than these guys or Putin. I can guarantee you that right now. And if anybody buys into this garbage about this being real, just forget about it. I mean, you gotta, I don't know what the heck to tell you, because this is not real. What this guy's doing here, that is so stupid. I mean, I could see right through that in a second flat. And just beware about what's going on in Russia. Our Western governments, I mean, I know they're screwed up, but there's stuff going on, and this guy basically screws over all the Russian people big time. So forget about it.